You gonna be making fun of me up there? Okay. You wanna do my intro for me?
Hey guys, Kyle here again.
How did you mess that up when you complain about hearing it all the time? What's up guys, Kyle here again and welcome to another episode of Falcon Friday. So today's even better than a normal Friday for a few different reasons. Number one, I have an extra day off of work this weekend. Number two, I'm going to a trampoline park tomorrow. I'll probably end up breaking my whole ass, which isn't a lot because I have a Hank Hill ass. Number three, I got a special package from Germany today from my friends over at Deadweald Audio. They sent me my second Deadweald Duality DX, which I'm stoked to have so I can leave it on my board at all times because that's where it's gonna stay. They also sent me this, which is a prototype of their new 2-channel keyed input noise gate called the Golem. This is a prototype at the moment, so I don't know that much about it. I haven't even plugged it in yet, but I will definitely be sure to give you guys my thoughts on that when the time comes. But thanks again to Daniel at Deadweald. Really appreciate it, man. And they also sent me gummy bears and chocolate, which my girlfriend is really excited about. Not because they're gummy bears and chocolate, but because the packages are in German, which is obviously the important part. And the final reason is my band Bushido Code premiered our very first video for the song Aftermath, which is coming out on our new full length on Upstate Records, April 16th, called The Ronin. So that video is live on Upstate Records YouTube page. It's live on Hardcore Worldwide. It's live on Metal Injection. And I also actually uploaded it to my channel and just finished watching the premiere with a bunch of you guys just now. So do me a favor, head over to that video on my channel, check it out, and let me know what you think. Would really be appreciated. First question comes from Dan Vizina, and he says, Kyle, what kind of dogs do you have? Are they modded or stock? Do they take boosts well? I've got a Husky and a German Shepherd Husky mix, and they are both busted. My Husky is extra busted because he's 600 years old. That's him in the background. Next question comes from Austin Eldridge. It's been a minute, man. He says, hey Kyle, what keeps you going and inspired to keep playing? I've lost a lot of interest in gear and even picking up my guitars lately. Do you ever go through phases of different hobbies? Yeah, absolutely, man. I actually, my girlfriend hates it because every time I get a new hobby, I go balls deep, like right away, including this YouTube channel. So yeah, actually last year, for almost the entire year, I barely even played guitar. I didn't really touch guitar all that much. I was just feeling really uninspired to play, and I actually sold off, if you can believe it, I sold off a lot of my gear throughout the year, to the point where I was down to the lowest that I had been in quite a while, just because I literally wasn't playing anything, and it was just sitting there, so I just started selling things off. Luckily, I didn't sell off anything I couldn't replace. I kind of made a point to do that. But yeah, I definitely go through phases, not that often, but sometimes where I just don't really feel like playing guitar. I don't really feel like playing music. I kind of just want to set it down and walk away from it for a while. And then finally something will click and I'll get the bug again and I'll finally end up sitting down to play something or write something, and there's just this spark, and then I'm good all over again for a while. And that actually happened to me probably like late in the fall last year. I kind of got into a couple other things. I got into computer building a lot last year, right around the time that the pandemic hit. And usually when I get a new hobby, I get kind of like obsessed with it, and then I kind of set all my other hobbies aside and just go really hard on that one thing, learning everything I can about it because I get kind of just infatuated with it. But that didn't last that long. That lasted a few months, and I kind of got out of that. And even after I got out of that, I didn't really dive right back into guitar. I kind of had this weird period where I just didn't really do much of anything, which was kind of a bummer. But then I kind of picked guitar back up and ended up starting the YouTube channel shortly after that. And yeah, we finished up our full-length record right around the time that I started kind of getting inspired to play again. So yeah, everything kind of all happened at once, but I definitely go through those phases where I'm just not that interested in it. Luckily, they're kind of few and far between. Now, if I could just get super interested in structured practice and actually getting better at guitar, I'd probably like it even more. So yeah, man, just, I mean, if you're not feeling inspired, take a break, walk away. You don't have to play. You don't have to be, you know, into this hobby, even though it's something you enjoy. If you're not enjoying it right now, walk away from it. Come back to it. You'll probably feel refreshed and renewed and maybe, you know, re-inspired once you take a break, come back to it, and find that you enjoy it again, because nobody wants to force themselves to do something they don't enjoy because they feel like they have to, especially a hobby like playing guitar. So give it a break and then come back to it and see how you feel, man. My man Mike, who is my main Patreon and a good friend of mine, said, what new LTD guitar would you get? Arctic Metal? I do really want one of the Arctic Metal. I think the Phoenix or the V are the ones that I would gravitate towards. I think those things look awesome. I think I'm actually going to try to get the Phoenix Arctic Metal, just because I like the way that the Firebird style body shape looks with one pickup, all white. That looks really cool. And then I kind of want to get the black metal version of the V because it's got the reverse headstock, and that's kind of what I gravitate towards, whereas the Arctic Metal V has the regular headstock. I want a reverse headstock. So I'm going to try to do the Black Metal V and the Arctic Metal LTD. Those will probably be two guitars that I review at some point this year. Last episode, I actually had asked you guys if you'd be interested in me reviewing guitars at all, and a lot of people said yeah. I don't like buying guitars new, especially imports, because they don't hold their value very well. So a lot of people mentioned maybe kind of giving reviews or making videos on the guitars that I already own and going through their backstory, since I don't really want to go out and buy a whole bunch of new guitars just to make a YouTube video on them and then resell it if I don't like it and lose a whole bunch of money. And I'm not at the point where companies are going to send me stuff to check out, and probably won't be there anytime soon. So I think what I'm going to do moving forward is once a week do a little video on each one of my guitars and give you kind of the backstory, where I got it, how long I've had it, what I've done to it, why I've decided to keep it. If you guys think that that would be interesting, I think it'd be pretty cool, because I think each guitar has its own little story behind it, and they're very personal for the most part. I think that would be interesting. At least it's not a gear demo, but, you know, kind of something enjoyable for those of us who kind of just like guitars and the mystique that surround them and everything else. So I'm gonna try that, see how it goes, see how you guys like it, probably once a week moving forward for the next few weeks, and you guys can let me know if it sucks. Okay, question from It's Me, Seventh Seal. He asks, have you ever tried a Marshall AFD 100, given that you gravitated toward the Splawn Quick Rod? I use similar advice you gave me on the Badlander when I try to use a boost that maintains and pronounces the low end more, since my AFD 100 is very bright. So the overdrive choice and IR can make or break that amp depending on the tone you are seeking from a modded 800. I have not tried any of the Appetite for Destruction Marshalls or the Slash Marshalls. I haven't even played a Silver Jubilee, if you can believe that. I'm actually kind of hunting for one at the moment, but the prices are just, like everything else, they're going through the roof. So it'll probably be a minute before I get one. And I have so many other amps that I got a demo before that I've acquired just specifically for the purpose of demoing them on this channel. But no, I have not played one. I would love to. You guys know that I'm a huge Marshall, modded Marshall tone fan, especially for the Bushido code stuff. So I would really like to get one. I've never had the opportunity to play one. I've never actually even heard one in person. I've only heard videos of them, but they sound like they would be right up my alley. So I'm going to focus on trying to get my hands on one. But I mean, it's a lot of the guys who like the higher gain Marshall tones seem to like the Silver Jubilee, even though it has the dreaded diode clipping in it. I don't really care about that as long as it sounds good. What I have picked up recently are a JCM 900 Mark III Master Volume and a JCM 900 Dual Gain High Reverb 100 watt. So I'm going to be putting those on the channel here. Those amps are definitely not as bad as everyone makes them out to be. Even the High Gain Dual Reverb, it's not my favorite amp, but it's a good sounding amp, especially if you dial it in right. The Mark III Master Volume is actually awesome too. It's the first one I've ever owned, and the Hot Mod works in it, so I'll be doing a video of that too. So I've got some cool Marshall stuff coming, but haven't played the AFD 100 or any of the Marshall Jubilee derivatives. All right, last question for the week is my man Josh H. He asks, hey big man, what's your biggest gear flip regret? As in something you should have held on to. That's a tough question, man. I flipped a lot of gear. There's not very many that I actually regret, because if it was something that I really wanted, I have been able to replace it fairly easily. And if it's something that I knew I would have a really hard time replacing, I kept it. I think the only thing that falls into that category that I've let go, and I've actually let it go twice, is the Marshall Kerry King 2203 JCM 800. I've had two of them. Both of them were mint. The first one I can't really say sounded awesome because I didn't know what I was doing with it at the time, but the second one sounded really, really good. And it was kind of one of those things where it was like, man, for what I had into it versus what I sold it for, I put it up. I got it with the intention of flipping it for profit, to be 100% honest. And I got a lot of profit for it. But you can't really find them now. And when I sold it for like $1,600. And now when they come up, they're like $2,000 or more. So kind of regret doing that. I should have held on to it. There's not that many of them out there. It was in pristine condition. So that's probably my number one. My number two would be, I had a triple rectifier for a couple years, and you guys know that I'm not a huge rectifier fan, but that one kind of had something special in it. The vintage channel just sounded incredible, sounded really tight, which you don't hear out of rectifiers often, and just wasn't as muddy, had a lot more upper mid-range push and definition to it. It was just really good sounding. And that was one of the amps that I actually sold last year when I was kind of going through my phase where I wasn't playing all that often. So yeah, now I'm kind of kicking myself for that one a little bit, but I mean, rectifiers are easy enough to come by. I don't think that anything was modded in that to make it sound special, because I've played quite a few rectifiers and they vary a lot. So I think that I just got one that, you know, just sounded good to my ear, and replacing that is hard. But the one that I got recently sounds really good, so I may just hang on to that because it reminds me a lot of the triple rectifier, whereas a lot of the other ones that I get kind of have that scoopy thing going on that you can't really dial out. These ones, for whatever reason, the mids just seem a little bit more present on them, and that's why I like them. But yeah, those would probably be my two biggest gear regrets, because everything else that's been rare, that sounded really good and I loved, I've held on to. Like my, I guess not necessarily rare, but my Deliverance and my Pitbull 50 CL from VHT. I'm really glad I kept those, because those are the two best sounding VHTs I've owned, and the prices on VHT stuff are just astronomical right now. It's insane how much they cost. So glad I held on to those. I have an FJA modded 5150 block letter. It has the metal mod where he added a choke, he did all sorts of stuff to the preamp, added bias circuits for each set of tubes. So it came, when I bought it, I got it with the KT88s and the 6L6s in it. I kept that because I knew I was going to have a hard time replacing it. And I also have two first-year splons. One's a pro stock, one's a pro mod. Got great deals on both of those, and wouldn't sell those. Those would stay with me pretty much no matter what. I'd probably sell the 5150 block letter before I'd let those go, just because those things sound awesome. And you guys know I'm a huge splon fan, so those are kind of like two of my main amps, and replacing those would be really difficult. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's going to be the last question for this week. I really appreciate you guys leaving the questions here. As always, really enjoy answering them. Hope you got some useful information, or at least some entertainment out of this video. Again, please do me a favor. Go down in the comments. I will link the new Bushido code video on my channel. You can also go into my videos. It's the video right before this one, and check it out. Let me know your genuine thoughts. I'm really curious to hear what you guys think about my band, what you guys think about the video. I'm really excited about it. I think it turned out awesome, so I'm pumped. My whole band's pumped. It's getting received very well by the general public, so can't wait to get out there and play some shows and hopefully meet some of you guys on the road when I'm out there. But anyways, yeah, I'm rambling on at this point. Thank you guys, and leave those questions for next week. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time.